Hey guys, I had a client today ask me a whole bunch of questions about 360 Onboard, so I'm gonna answer these in the video so everybody gets a way to truly learn, right? So what exactly is 360 Onboard? Is it a complete onboarding solution with document storage or primarily a workflow automation flow builder tool? This is complete onboarding, right? That is our core feature and focus right now, is making sure that the end-to-end onboarding, the moment a client says yes to the moment you actually start whatever work they said yes for. We're trying to streamline those two times so they happen as fast as possible, right? So what that looks like is you create a flow that you can send to a customer, and in this flow, they would be able to sign whatever contract you need to sign. Soon they'll be able to also even make payments directly through that flow. So we'll add invoicing through Stripe and PayPal, and they'll be able to make payments through there. And they would also be able to answer questionnaires and upload documents, right? Now, to the question about storage, we currently do not have a limit on storage. However, we plan on having one within the next few weeks, months, after we integrate Google Drive, Dropbox, and Box, and pCloud, right? The reason why is right now, we can't really force you to not let your clients upload stuff because we don't have the possibility of that second part of things, right? Which is the integrations. But once the integrations are set, ideally, you would connect your Google Drive and your Box or your Dropbox or pCloud or anything that you have for storage. And what would happen is when clients upload things, we would immediately upload those things directly to your drive. So as a result, we never run into a storage problem where storage is eating up all our servers' money. And you guys always have the data exactly where you need it most, which is in your folders, in your files. And that way we don't keep any client data in terms of anything that clients upload. Can I provide a simple example showing a typical client onboarding flow? Okay, so we're going to create one, right? So I'm going to go to the dashboard and we're going to start a flow, right? So here we name the flow, right? The flow we're going to name this is going to be test one. And we're going to add a step, right? Now here on the question, when you add a step, you could choose what type of step it is. There's three types. There's questionnaires, there's tutorials, and there's e-signatures, right? Tutorials are more like guides. I see tutorials as the best way to tell somebody you need something and how to get that thing, right? Very important if you need, for example, somebody to add you to their Salesforce, or you need somebody to add you to their Google Analytics, right? And so that's what we're trying to get with this tutorial step. With the questionnaire step, you're used to this, is surveys, questions, things like that. And with the surveys, you can see the fields right here, but essentially you have text inputs, drop down, checkbox, radio button, all the standard stuff, including file uploads, right? And this is very important if you need people to upload things. Here, on the right to that, we have estimated time. How long do you think it's going to take for them to complete this step, right? It defaults to 3 minutes, but you can always increase it, right? So what we're going to do today is we are going to start with a questionnaire, right? Now here you can add questions, you add your question like, hey, what's your name? And the customer is going to reply. And you can change the response type, like whether it's long text, email, number, things like that. But for today, we're going to use one of the templates. So the templates are essentially questions that different brands and different types of agencies might typically ask, right? For example, here, we're going to use the project kickoff detail brands, right? And this is to gather project goals, timeline, approval process, and communication preference. So if we click this, these are already questions that we have pre-created. 360 Onboard has pre-created, right? And here you can see question, and these are pre-created, but you can always edit these, right? You can go in here, change them, right? So they match exactly with what you want. And when you edit, if you want to see what it looks like, you can always click on the preview button at the top and you can see what each of these questions would look like, right? How many options need to approve to work? XYZ. So I'm going to exit the preview, right? And so once you have it like that, that's the questionnaire step, right? You don't have to have a questionnaire step as the first step, but that's the one I'm using in this example. But you could also switch it to tutorial, e-signature, whatever you want, right? On the tutorial steps, this is for guides, right? So here you can put a title and be like tutorial title, description. Let's say tutorial title is how to access your client portal. And then you could describe anything. And then if you want to see it once again, you have to put a step title. So let's say tutorial step, right? So this is how it's going to look. Now, here's the beauty of it is if you want to give people a guide and then ask them a certain question, right? You can always put an answer box. And here the answer box is, what is the client portal ID? This is just a random question that you could ask, right? Assuming they needed to access some client portal where they needed the ID. I'm going to show you guys some templates in a bit, but as you can see here, it would ask them, it would give them the guide, and then it would ask for a client portal ID, which is exactly what we're looking for here, right? But what I want to do is actually, we're going to use one of these templates, right? So our goal is to, at some point, have one-click access. Not at some point, I believe we'll be done within the next 4 or 5 weeks. Before the New Year's is my goal, to be done and have this thing called one-click access. You've probably seen this with Admatic, Connexify, and Connexify is doing it for $549 on AppSumo, just to show how much of a difference they have for this one feature. It's one feature, right? But essentially, they have all these ways where instead of telling the client to add you to Google Ads or GoDaddy or HubSpot or any of these places, you just you send them a link, and if they sign in through that link, you get access because their system would add you systematically, like automatically. And that way, the clients never have to share passwords with you, and you never have to see passwords. And they never even have to share passwords to Admatic or Connexify, right? They just have to sign in, and it's using OAuth, right? And so that's what we're trying to create. But until that happens, we have made detailed articles on asking clients to give you access to different things. Here we have Google Ads, GoDaddy, HubSpot, Yelp, Snapchat. I mean, we literally have something for almost everything we think you would need. And essentially all you have to do is click on it. So here, for example, I could be like Google Ads account access, right? And here we ask you certain variables that we need in order to truly show, right? So for example, what's the email address that the client should give access to? In this case, let's say dave@sheetsai.com, right? What should the expiration date for the access be? Never. What access level should the client grant? And here it could be like email only, for example. So when you add the template, we are automatically going to pre-fill, you see, add our email address, dave@sheetsai, set the expiration date to never, right? So essentially we're going to pre-fill your data in the template. So when you click view, you can see that it's telling you what to do. Set the expiration date to never, choose the email only level access, and then hit send invitation, right? So this works perfectly because it allows you to be able to quickly teach a client how to do something instead of having to do a FaceTime call and different types of things and being like, oh, this is the wrong way to do it, this is the right way to do it. You can add pictures and different things to make sure the client knows and sees exactly how to do a certain thing. In this case, the templates are the best for this, so you don't have to write full-scale articles on how to give you access to anything. So that answers step 2. Third step that I'm going to show you guys is e-signatures, okay? So we're going to use this invoice, which is a test invoice from 360Onboard, right? And let's say you wanted a signature on this invoice. You would put it right here, right? And you would just put a signature field. This is very similar to how DocuSign and PandaDoc and any of the other platforms would have it, right? It's like signature. You could have initial, company, whatever text box you need here. You just put it on the page, and you make sure to name the steps. So here we're going to say sign this, right? Sign the contract. And once you're done with that, you just move on to the next thing. You could add more steps if you want to, or you can continue to the variant selection. Okay, so once you get to the variant selection, it literally tells you to make a selection to see a live preview. In this case, we are going to choose the professional tab because that's the one I like the most. But each of them have their own system, have their own look to them, right? Like minimal tab has its look, professional has its look, playful has its look, gradient has its look, minimal, everything, each of them has their look. And these variants, these themes, I plan on having like hundreds of them. I mean, we're going to keep adding them and making them better in order to make it very, very easy for you to see everything, right? Now, here's some white labeling stuff that we're doing that you would notice. First thing, if you look at the header, you can see here, in my case, it says Sheets AI's new agency. But this is going to be the logo that you uploaded and the agency name that you uploaded. Because when you click on it, it literally tells you that this is agency name, as you can see right here. So essentially, this is agency name, company name, your company and your agency name. So that's how it's going to be. This is exactly how it's going to show to your customer, right? And so here, This is what this is the flow that your customer would see, right? The flow from here, the page that they're gonna get accepted to, and then to the thank you page. Now, you're probably wondering, I need it to show my customer's name, right? So in this case, it just says welcome to your onboarding. But let's say you wanted to write something like welcome to your onboarding and then your client name. You would click on the text, right? And that would open where the text is editable, right? And then here you can just change you can add a variable. So you could add agency name, you could add client company name, right? So now it's welcome to your onboarding company name. Now this company name word is going to get auto-filled by your customer's actual company name, right? And there are multiple variables, right? You can put their first name, last name, full name, email, phone number, job title, date. And these are only if you provide that information, right? If you don't provide that information, I don't recommend you do it. If anything, I recommend that you focus mostly on client company name, first name, last name, full name, and maybe email. And that's it. So then you move to the next, right? So here we have welcome to your onboarding company name. Let's get you started on this journey, right? And the client will press start. Then it's going to ask them what the top 3 goals, right? So this is an example flow. It's a live preview of exactly what your customer would see and exactly how they would see it, right? So this is exactly what your customer would see. They would answer these questions. Once they're done answering, they'll press next step. They'll look at this guide, and then they'll sign the contract, right? So when they sign, they'll get an option to draw or to type. I'm going to show you all of this on the client side, but this is just to show you that you can see what the client is going to do before you actually send it. And there's a legal notice that tells them that their electronic signature is legally binding and has the same effect as a handwritten signature. And yeah, so I believe that's it. And then there's a thank you page right here, and they can always come back to this link to change their answers. And here you have 2 options. You could either save the onboarding flow. And if you save the onboarding flow, you typically want to do that if you don't want to immediately send it to somebody. But if you have somebody in mind who you feel would need this onboarding flow right now, you can click get personalized client link and immediately start setting it for that specific client. So in this case, we're going to say David D'Souza, and then the client email is going to be david@sheetsai.com. And company name is going to be SheetsAI. Let's call it SheetsAI's client. So that's the company name. That's the client email. Client first, client last, right? And we're going to generate a link. So we'll give it a second. As you can see, this link right here is personalized. So this is how you can, so if you have the custom domain, the ability to white label, not only can you white label the form itself, you can white label the link that gets sent and the slug. So imagine somebody, if your company name is Acme, or let's say it's Google, you can create onboarding.google.com, and the slash is going to be like onboarding.google.com/SheetsAI. And that's if you are working with a company called SheetsAI, right? So in this case, it's onboarding.com.sheetsai.com, SheetsAI's client. Okay, so now to preview the onboarding, right? Just to see what the client sees, all you have to do is click preview, and it can open the link for you. As you can see, SheetsAI's client got replaced right here, right? And that's exactly what we saw, right? Agency name, agency logo, SheetsAI's client right here. Welcome to your onboarding SheetsAI's client, right? So in this case, it replaced it with the company name. If you have those exact same onboarding for every client that you work with, you can easily send this to every single one of them, and it would replace their name every single time, right? All you have to fill out is name, company name, first, last, and you're good every single time, which works perfectly, right? And then if they press get started, they can answer these questions. These questions are required, so it wouldn't let me click next step without answering them. So I'm just going to put an answer. I'm just going to put literally the word answer. And we want it in rush, right? And then we'll press next. And then it shows us this. Then you press next. And then it makes you sign the contract. Now to sign, you'll just have to press start signing. And then they can draw a signature. Or they can type their name, and it's going to give them options like James. And then it's going to give them an option to write it like a handwritten, right? So in this case, we're just going to draw something. And press adopt and sign. And so it's going to put it exactly where you wanted it to be, right? And since this is the last step, all the client has to do is click submit, and then you would be alerted that a client completed the application, right? And so that's it. Now we're back to the dashboard. And as you can see, we have one client right here on test 1. You can always add clients. And if you press this, you get the same thing: first name, last name, email, company name. That's the 4 things that you need in order to add it in clients, and it's going to personalize their onboarding for them, right? Let's see what other questions my amazing customer asked me. If storage is included, what are the storage limits per plan? So currently there is no storage limit, right? It's purely fair use based, but we are going to implement limits the moment we implement the ability to upload directly to Google Drive, Box, or Dropbox. Once those 3 things are implemented, we will add the limit of 1 gigabyte. And the main reason why we need those limits is because storage just costs too much, and we want to keep 360 on board super sustainable. So it wouldn't make sense to kind of have like unlimited storage for everybody. And the 1 gigabyte, it is like pretty small, but right now there is no limits. We're going to start enforcing 1 gigabyte only after we've implemented one of the solutions I've brought earlier, which is Google Drive, Box, or Dropbox, or possibly P Cloud in addition, right? Which I plan to implement all of these throughout the month of December. Once we implement it, what's going to happen is when people upload, we're going to use OAuth. So when people upload to any of these platforms, it will go directly to the file. There would be no temporary links. There would be no webhooks. It would be APIs and OAuth, right? If you know anything about that, you would get what I mean. And the next thing, can we export or download all client files for archiving? Yes, you can. I would have showed it here, but I don't really want you guys getting my private files. But essentially, yeah, once a client finishes answering, there's a results right here. Currently, you could tell somebody started, right? But nobody submitted. So there are no responses. But once there are responses, you would come to this page, right? And you'd be able to download everything the client uploaded, download their form responses. As you can see, there's a big download button right here, right? Currently, there's no limit on what file formats are supported during file uploads. But obviously, you would tell your customer what. Do templates include only questionnaires or complete onboarding flows? So as you guys can see from the templates I showed earlier, templates are for questionnaires. There are templates for guides. There's no template for e-signatures, but we do plan on adding that over time, especially once we have an AI. We have the AI contract builder, which is something we are also implementing. It would be BYOK, very, very important. Bring your own key. But essentially, once we have the AI onboarding, the AI contract builder, we're going to implement, something similar to how the questionnaire has templates, the guides have templates. We're also going to implement that type of template. And if we notice that people are using 360 Onboard to also onboard employees, we could start putting templates of very important documents such as W-2s and different things of the sorts. Instead of you having to find it and upload it and all of that, right? We already have everything up for you. But this will be purely based on customer usage. That is you guys, right? The more you guys tell us, hey, we don't like this or we do like this, the more we can actually create all these things that you like so much. So currently on the APIs and webhooks, which you can find in settings, right? So in settings, keep this in mind. The profile is this, right? Help email, invoice, bill to, everything, right? But in the APIs and webhook, which I don't know why I didn't allow myself the APIs and webhooks, the highest blend possible. But essentially in the APIs and webhooks, the API points for the API is to create a client, to list your onboarding flows, to create a client, and to list your clients. That's the main thing, right? The flow I have in mind is somebody signs or fills out a form on another platform or books a meeting, and you instantly send them to our platform so that it creates an onboarding flow for them, which would automatically send them an email, right? Now, you could also set it up where you have no email notifications from our platform, and it's all entirely done through their APIs, through APIs and webhooks. So that means you set it up that another platform sends the data to our platform, and then once it gets to our platform is going to create the client, right? And when the client is done, because our webhook has three points too. It has flow created, client created, and it has client submitted, right? Those 3. We plan on adding more, but once again, based on user feedback. Once users start using, you guys will tell us, hey, we like this or we don't like this. And that's really how we operate with this entire company. Can we use conditional logic? Currently, we don't have conditional logic, but that is on the top of our roadmap. So currently we don't have conditional logic, but we plan on adding that within the next month. I hadn't thought about conditional logic until very, very late into the platform when I was pretty much ready to ship. So that's why I didn't add it in at launch, but we plan to add that within the next month. Do clients sign within 360 Onboard or are they redirected elsewhere? Once again, anything e-signature wise, it's all done on the platform. And all the signed documents are stored on our servers, but you will also have access to them if you look at your results, right? What file formats? Currently, it's only PDF, but once again, a lot of this platform is done purposefully the way it's done because I want to build it purely based on user feedback, right? I've done all my hypotheses, and from my experience from running multiple agencies, I've used all those experiences to create this first version. But all the different things such as adding other, like other than PDF, using docs and probably images, no idea. But if you use all those things, please reach out and let me know. And then I could work on adding that to the platform, right? I care about two things: feasibility and sustainability. If we're able to make it happen, and that's pretty easy. If a platform anywhere in the world can do it, I 100% believe we can do it too, right? So the second part would be sustainability, because if it costs them $1 billion to run it, I don't have $1 billion. I don't think you do either, Actually, I don't know what anyways. I don't have $1 billion. So ideally, it has to be sustainable. I have to be able to keep that going for a while. It has to have predictable cost that I can foresee myself being able to pay. And most things actually do. So please just reach out with any feature that you're like, I wonder if it can have that. And if it can, why does it not have it yet? And I'll make it happen. So questions about the email infrastructure. How are emails sent? Are they sent via my SMTP servers, or can you as customers connect with your own, right? So currently they're sent via our SMTP servers. Really, we use Email-It, which was on LTD at some point. We also have a Resend account, but we don't really use Resend because we've noticed very similar deliverability rates with both, right? And since we have a really pretty high plan with Email-It, we keep that. That's what we use with Sheets AI. That's what we use with 360 Onboard. In the future, if Email-It was to, God forbid, send us a heavy heart, we would immediately switch to Resend, because that's what we were using before we found out about Email-It. And so, yeah. Next question. Is there a limit on emails sent per month per plan? No limits. Obviously, the emails aren't sent. You get email settings, but emails are tied to certain actions, right? And those actions are limited depending on what plan you are. If you're on the unlimited plan, you could create 1 billion clients. But if you're on the professional plan or the starter plan, where you have a certain number of flows or certain number of clients that you could create, right? And you can only send invite emails, and emails sent to you, the client only gets invite emails, right? So as a result, it's like you can probably only do about 15 every month, because you only can have 15 clients a month. Somebody on an unlimited plan can have as many as they want, right? We plan on having a completion email. We don't know 100% what that would look like yet, because I'm pretty sure there's multiple people who wouldn't necessarily want a completion email. They'll just want a redirection, right? So that's another step, is something like redirect. Like ideally, instead of after we say thank you, we redirect people to another platform, right? Whatever it is that customers will want to do. But this is all based on you guys. Once again, you guys are the users. You guys use it. You guys know the specific problems you have. And I beg you to please tell us, because I can only use all my knowledge and what I know from the industry. But when you guys tell me stuff, I'm like, oh, that makes complete sense. That's very logical. And if it's very logical, I'm more than likely going to implement it to make your life easier. Email deliverability rate. So the email deliverability rate on Email-It, I believe, is 99% or something of the sorts. It's like pretty much standard industry standard. We haven't had spam problems, but I can't say how many people it's getting into spam and they are replying. But just to give you an example, this customer sent us this message through the email, as a reply to the email we sent. So I assume that it does get to where it needs to get to, Also, we typically only use our emails for transactional purposes. We don't really do marketing emails. So as a result, the deliverability, open rates, all that stuff is typically extremely high because we don't really market super hard on our email server. The customer asks, can we access email logs for compliance or audit purposes? 1000%. You can reach out to me and I would let you access any email logs that you want. Are we GDPR compliant? Yes. We only collect your name, your email. We encrypt your password, so there's no way for anybody on our team to see it. I mean, even if I was to beg Supabase, which is our backend server, they won't be able to see it. It's encrypted at rest, it's encrypted in transit, so there's no way to actually see your passwords. So all we really have access to is your email, your name, your everything in the agency profile. So that's your company name, your logo, once again, your email. And for your clients, all we have is their name, their email, and their company name. Do we provide a data processing agreement for EU agencies? Yes, so we do provide a DPA. Yes, we do provide a DPA. We also have our privacy policy, terms and services, everything on the websites, but we don't have the DPA on the website yet. But we'll add it during the week. directly to the website, so you don't have to email us in order to see it. But yeah, so we do provide a DPA, data processing agreement. Next question, where are your servers physically located? So our servers are in US East. So our servers are really on Supabase, right? And Vercel. And on both, they are on US East, right? So that's where everything is. Cell processor, Supabase, Vercel, email it for emails. That's it. Nothing else. What is your data retention policy? So, okay, our data retention policies are, we retain it for as long as you stay on our platform, right? So the data we're retaining is name, email, and all the data I brought up earlier, right? And we retain it purely because we needed to operate the platform. Now, if ever anybody wants to exercise the right to be forgotten, that is, I want you to delete all my data, please just reach out and we'll make it happen. How quickly can data be deleted upon request? Data can be deleted immediately upon request, within a day, within 24 hours upon request, we would delete your data from all our servers. What happens to stored data if we cancel or downgrade our plan? If you cancel or downgrade your plan, you will have exactly 30 days from the moment of that action happening to get your data out of the platform, right? After that time, all your data will be deleted. What security certificates do you have? So we use Supabase. Supabase has SOC2, right? And all data is encrypted at rest and in transit. And who within the organization has access to client data? I do. I'm the only person in the entire organization that has access to client data. None of my team members, nobody else in the company has access to client data. And that's it. Thank you very much. And yes, you can customize emails, right? You can customize what the invitation emails look like, what the reminder emails look like. Everything can be customized right here. That's it. Thank you so much, guys, and have a nice one.